My first intervention, Mr. Chairman, is on metering. This course has been charging customers the cost of meters. They insist that they have to pay for metering, despite the fact that both NAC and even DISCO themselves, they said meters are to be provided by DISCOs. But they have not been doing that. Instead, the customers have been bearing the cost. And secondly, Mr. Chairman, the CBN provided money for metering, but we learned from very good authority that that money is being diverted for other purposes. And right now, even the EFCC is investigating how that money is being diverted. I know there are 3 or 4 instances where that has been done. So we would like to know from CBN and also the Minister and perhaps even NEC whether such allegations are true. On the issue of consultation, Mr. Chairman, distinguished colleagues, it's quite evident that enough consultation has not been done before this tariff increase. And it is, to say the least, the increase is outrageous, it's unaffordable, and unrealistic. It is only the DISCOs that are supporting this increase, simply because it's going to favor them. But the Nigerian public, I'm asking a question. The Nigerian public, whom we represent, are crying. And the timing of this increase is not appropriate in view of the fact that there is withdrawal of petroleum subsidy, which has added to the cost of living. There is merger of the exchange rate, which has also made things go very, very high. And now at over 200% of tariff.
200 or 300.
And it has never happened in the history of Nigeria. So I am of the opinion that, Mr. Chairman, from what we heard from the stakeholders, particularly the former chairman of NEC, and also Manufacturers Association, and he has represented manufacturers very well, that there should be a reversal of this tariff increase in the interest of this country. Because there is no way Nigeria can compete favorably if this tariff is sustained. We heard that manufacturers have moved to Ghana, manufacturers have moved even to Benin Republic, some have relocated to other clients. And this is time for Nigeria to really diversify the economy. And the only way you can diversify the economy is to embark on manufacturing. You export. When you export, you show up the value of the naira. You bring the value of dollar down. It's only through exportation, not through intervention by CBN, as we recently have seen. Today it is 1,000, tomorrow it is 1,200. The only way we can save our economy is to embark on massive production. And this production, power is key. I don't see how we can industrialize this country without, the power sector. So I'm of the opinion that this increase is counterproductive because it's going to be inimical to the industrial growth of this country, and it should be reversed in the interest of the country. Mr. Chairman, we have invested so much in the power sector. This happens as far back as 1999 when President Obasanjo came into power. He spent close to about $15 billion US. And what did we get? not even out to 5,000 megawatts. When he handed over to Umaru Musa Yar'Adua of blessed memory, he too invested heavily. We didn't see much. Good luck Jonathan also came up. He invested more than 25 billion US, and yet we cannot generate more than 10,000 megawatts. Today, the minister has confirmed to us that it is only 4,000 megawatts that we can either distribute or generate. We have capacity to generate close to about 15,000 megawatts, but currently we are only distributing 4,000 megawatts. The more you spend, the less power you get. So, Mr. President, sorry, Mr. Chairman, Honorable Minister, distinguished invited guests, what do we do to reverse this situation? And I think that the one fundamental issue we are not addressing, that the issue of corruption. There is a lot of corruption in the power sector. And unless that issue is addressed, honestly speaking, we are just wasting our time. Corruption has eaten into our body fabric, and we need to attack it seriously if we are to progress. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. We are talking about the current tariff increase that has been done very recently. Is this tariff increase a solution to the challenges faced by NESI? Is it a solution to this problem, or is it just a reduction in the government subsidy exposure? What is it? What does it fundamentally address? Does it just address the exposure of the government to the subsidy, which would have been over 3 trillion, by charging only 15% of the customers to reduce the subsidy level? Or does it go ahead to address the fundamental problem of the lack of solvency within the entire sector? Because like what one of the presenters has said, it's mainly to rob Peter to pay Paul, and this time is to pay the government to reduce its subsidy exposure. But it's even worse, because what you are doing is absolutely injustice and discriminatory. I think the challenge before us, like Senator Tariff has said, is really to think out of the box and find a fundamental solution to the entire disorganized state of the Nigerian electrical supply industry. We have to do that. You know, the Brazilians did it. China, you can see what China did. You know, they invested in the Three Gorges Dam. One of the huge, with all the environmental things, they invested heavily to make sure that, the foundation of any industry, of any development, is power. When you have power, forget about industry, forget about manufacturing, forget about export. We have to find the ways and means in which we can massively invest in the Nigerian electricity system and make it. Because only in making those kind of investment can you bring prices down. Prices will almost escalate at any time when supply reduces. Every single anybody in economics 101 know that when you don't have enough in supply, the prices rise. And indefinitely, Nigerian population is growing. We need industry. Naira can never come down without a productive and manufacturing economy built on exports to the West African, African, and international markets. That's the thing. We have to get our productive base on the ground. Once we don't have that productive base, we are in trouble. So, but power is the key. We have to sit down and see where we can be able to really sit down and revolutionize and completely turn around the power sector of this Nigerian economy. But this one, the price increase that we are talking about, is just a gimmick. It doesn't bring any real solution to the challenges that we have. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Compliance and adherence to policies in the ministry, and that's the Nigerian Electricity Regulation Commission. Then you have the ministry, which formulates policies. The function of the minister is to expedite national development through formulation of appropriate policies and establishment of systems, structures, and institutions that will make the sector conducive for the operators and also guarantee long-term sustainability of the sector to enable it to provide functional, sustainable, and cost-effective power supply to households, businesses, and industries. And we provide general oversight to the industry. So our job is more of a medium to long-term assurance of sustainability to ensure that the sector keeps running and performs its responsibilities. When it comes to day-to-day and short-term fixing of operational issues in the sector, the ministry does not have a generating company. We don't have a distribution company. We can only compel them to performance. So we have such limitations. But over time, we remove everything that is impeding optimal performance of the operators. Thank you for that. Now, going back to the questions, I will leave the question on the discourse charging for metering and the issue of diversion of meter fund to discourse and the NEC not to answer. But when it comes to issue of corruption, number one, which was the issue that the distinguished senator raised, we all accept the fact that for us to have a strong currency, intermittent CBN intervention is not the permanent solution. It is about import substitution, producing what we need and not relying on imports. That's self-sustainability. Then the second is export promotion. After producing what we need and there is surplus, we also must export to other countries to earn foreign currency. Not just primary export of primary products like we do now, export of value-added processed products that can actually give us foreign currency. And we understand that. And you can never achieve this if you don't have a strong local manufacturing sector. And the key to strong local manufacturing sector is energy. We all know that. It's energy. And which is why we are saying that this sector must not die. We must take some steps to ensure we address the issues that are impeding optimal performance of the sector. And we must also appreciate that in trying to repair the sector, it will come with pains. If there is no pain, there is no gain. If you believe or you have trust and confidence in the handlers of the sector, and you allow all these policies to move seamlessly, we're going to get the permanent solution. On the issue of corruption, I agree with you. It pervades all government establishments, and this is what this administration is committed to eliminate. And I can tell you that since I resumed duty as Minister of Power, I've raised a number of issues to frustrate corruption in the sector and even expose existing corruption. I will mention two, which you are all aware of. The meter gap we have today is 6 to 8 million meters. But 20 years ago, specifically 2003, the meter gap was not up to 4 million. And the $200 million was set aside by the Debt Management Office through the Ministerial of Power and was given to a particular meter vendor to procure 3 million meters for the sector. If 3 million meters had been procured in 2003, we will not be talking about this magnitude of gap in our metering penetration. But this $200 million was converted at the rate of 160 naira to make 32 billion naira. And it was fixed in a bank for 21 years. No single meter was acquired. So we are our own enemies, we are our own problems. Government provided the money and someone sat on the money for 21 years until we came. And I know that previous administration have tried to recover this money, but they did not succeed. But thankfully to Mr. President, he immediately approved the termination of this loan and the retrieval of this 32 billion naira. Even by simple compounding interest of 10% or 32, we'll be talking about 225 billion naira of that money today. How much is it in the bank? It's just about 41 billion. So we know that there is endemic corruption. And even the last award of when this company refused to supply meter, the military came up with another supplier that they wanted to meter all the military formations, and it was awarded to a particular company. Since 2021, the company has frustrated disbursements of just 12 billion out of 32 billion to this new company. And the person has even used his money to import some meters, which he could not install until we came in and we compelled them to disburse this fund. And you can see that metering of military formations is ongoing across the country now. That's kind of progress that we're making. Number two, I agree with you that previous administration has spent so much in the sector. We mentioned the Obasanjo regime, whether it's 16 billion, whether it's 8 billion. All I know is that about 10 power plants under the Nigeria Integrated Power Plant were actually established. 5 or 6 of them are currently running now, and others are at various stages of completion. The 5 or 6 running, they are under the management of NDPHC, that's the Niger Delta Power Holding Company, and they have a capacity of close to 5,000 megawatts. But alas, they are not producing up to 500 megawatts. I've been there personally myself. I was at Oloshoku, Papalanto. I was at Omotosho in Ore. I was at Iwobo in Benin. There is Calabar, and there are a number of them. I got to Oloshoku, out of 6 turbines, 4 gas turbines, 2 steam turbines, only 1 was working. The capacity of each turbine was 150 megawatts, making a total of 690 megawatts. In Oloshoku alone, it was only producing at less than 100, with only turbine working, only 1 turbine working. I was at Omotosho, 500 megawatt capacity with 4 turbines of 125 megawatts each. Only 1 at 125 megawatts was working. The remaining 375 were down for various reasons. Number 1, no gas. Number 2, they could not service the turbines. You understand? So it's not as if we cannot generate power. But what happened to our power resources? So these are the kind of money spent with other administrations. We have spent so much money on transmission. The transmission company of Nigeria today, the government has spent billions of dollars on it. I can tell you, all the projects started, 90% of those projects are not completed. They are still ongoing. I mentioned it in my previous speeches and interviews that we have over 120 TCM projects that are ongoing at 95%, 90%, 80% completion. And one peculiar thing about power projects is that you cannot energize if it's not 100% completed. So we have only spent those money. We have not really derived any advantage from the money, and the money has not made any impact on the sector. So why have we not completed those projects? So those are the issues of corruption that we are saying we need to eliminate. And corruption will always fight back. Since we have mentioned all this, they have been after me. They've been on my neck. Oh, remove Adelabu, replace Adelabu and all that. But we know it comes with reforms. When you are doing radical transformation and necessary reform, it will never be easy. We are prepared for all those negative name calling and dragging on the internet. It will not stop anything. Once we get to where we are going, we are satisfied. So we are aware of the corruption issue, and I can tell you that we have the trust and confidence of Mr. President, and is ready to stay with us to fight this corruption issue. We have cartels, we have cabals. The band A that the disco man just mentioned that they enjoy about 85-90% of promise. Go and check. The demand for diesel by those band A has reduced. Those are the people that could afford diesel to their generators. Demand for generator services and even new generators have reduced. Are there no people in these businesses? So they are after us, but we are bent on reforming the sector. Thank you for this. comment on the corruption. You mentioned that I mentioned about 2 trillion required to turn around the sector. No, to turn around this sector, 2 trillion naira is just a patch sum. The 2 trillion I mentioned was even 3 trillion, which and it was 2 trillion for the subsidy. After the band A, the subsidy required was about 2.9 trillion. Band A will bring in about 1 trillion, and we are left with about 1.9, which is 2 trillion. If government gives us 2 trillion today to be able to pay the subsidy, sincerely we won't touch subsidy again. We won't touch the tariff again. So the 2 trillion I mentioned is just to cover the subsidy shortfall. As it is today, 450 billion was made available in the budget for subsidy. So even if we were to reduce or eliminate that gap, we will have reviewed tariff for all banks, but we did not do that. So for this sector to be revived, government needs to spend nothing less than $10 billion on a yearly basis for the next 10 years because of the infrastructure requirement for stability in this sector. So the government cannot afford to do that. We must make this sector attractive to investors and to lenders. Everywhere in the world, government is not the only one spending on the sector. The sector is privatized. Government only subsidizes. So for us to attract such investment, the business must be attractive. The only way the business can be attractive is that there must be close to commercial pricing. The pricing shortfall must also be regularly funded by the government. That's why businessmen will put their money in. Why haven't we been able to sell all those discos that are in the hands of AMCON and other banks? No investor. But no investor will come and bring money if tariff is still at 66 naira and government is not paying subsidy. They will not come. But now that we have increased tariff for a band or a section of the consumers, there are interests being shown. And we will not wait for these discos to extend their investment to other banks, but it will take time, and they don't even have the money. We're going to embark on bundling the discos along state lines, so that we can sell along state line. Apart from selling along state line, we are introducing what is called franchising. If there are some areas that the discos don't want to invest, we can get an interested investor, put money there, improve infrastructure, and charge. So those are the things that we are doing. But you asked if increasing the tariff is the solution. No, it is the beginning of the solution. There are a lot of other things that we need to do, but we must make it attractive first. If we don't touch the tariff sincerely, this sector will terminate. I'm telling you, we don't want it to be granted. So it's a tough decision. Let me answer the question on subsidy amounts. We mentioned the subsidy amounts before other questions. The subsidy required for 2024 is about 2.9 trillion, but with the new tariff for band A, it's going to be a little about 2 trillion, 2.7 trillion, thereabouts. Because the band A revenue increment will be about 1.15 trillion. Am I right? Yes. So that's the subsidy requirement. Then the level of indebtedness to the discourse, and I've mentioned this in the past. Today, we are owing the GENCOs nothing less than 1.3 trillion. Principal amount is about 8 MDN verticals. Sorry, what's the principal amount?
993.
993 is the principal amount, which is about 1 trillion, while the 300 billion is the interest, which was agreed upfront. That's for the GENCOs. But for the gas supply companies, we are owing about $1.3 billion. So now, how do we pay? 3 forms of payment. Number one, we have appealed to the Minister of Finance and the Coordinating Minister for the Economy, as well as the Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, through Mr. President, that there must be some cash injection. We need to pay some cash so that these generating companies will continue in business. Number two, we know we cannot pay everything 100% in cash. It's not possible. So we'll pay what is provided in the budget, and there is need for supplementary budget to be included in supplementary budget. Then number 2 is, we are going to give them some guaranteed debt instruments, which is a promise of deferred payments. It could be promissory notes. Promissory notes that over the next 2, 3, 4 years, we are going to be paying you down. That will give them some assurance and comfort. The number 3, for the gas companies, I think the Minister of Petroleum, Minister of State Petroleum Gas, is also discussing with them, and they have agreed on them having access to gas wells, so that they can use this to defray the debt over time, or even part of the royalty to pay down on the gas. Because these people are businessmen. If you are not paid for past supply, how do we expect you to continue supply? Which is why the chairman mentioned that it is by miracle that these generating companies are still producing power with the level and magnitude of debt that is on our neck as a government. So, the last one is the fact that what is the way out?
But not the
what is the way out? Sir, I've told you about the way out. Number 1 is to resolve this liquidity crisis, to ensure that the industry is liquid and to make it attractive to new investors. Number 1, to also make it attractive to bank lenders that can provide money to improve infrastructure. Yeah. Then, number 3 is infrastructure improvement across the 3 segments. The 4th segment of the value chain, 5 segments, which is the gas, and coming, yes, infrastructure, that's part of it. The gas pipeline need to be fixed, and new compressors, new, new compressors must be, but to ensure that the pressure is of good quality to the generating companies. The number 2 is the generating companies themselves. We need to revive all our generating companies. The NDPHC power companies must be revived to the level they were meant to be. We must also encourage the private generating companies to invest in improving their own infrastructure. Then we are also investing in hydroelectric power. We just added Zungeru of 700 megawatts that will also boost power production. We are also working on Kachibila, which is completed at 40 megawatts, to complete evacuation of the remaining 30 out of 40. We are already evacuating 10. And we have 26 small hydro power dams. Hydro dams that want to put down as power production plants. And these are small plants, small dams from 1 megawatt up to 15 megawatts. Then lastly, sir, the renewable energy, which is what I've also mentioned, was we are also diversifying our energy mix to ensure that we're able to provide energy to rural dwellers and to some communities in the north and in the southwest, along with those in the coastal area with wind energy. We're already discussing on signing an agreement with the 3 gigawatts, 3,000 megawatts of solar energy in about 25 states across the north central, northeast, northwest, and the southwest, which will provide power. The same thing with the wind. So beyond that, the transmission, you mentioned the issue of cement. That's a major one to transform our transmission infrastructure. And Mr. President is committed to this. We are almost completing the pilot phase. We brought in the transformers, 10 power transformers, and 10 mobile substations. We have commissioned 5 of the transformers. The remaining 5 will be commissioned before the end of next month. And even tomorrow, we are commissioning a mobile substation in Aja. 3 out of 10 will be commissioned tomorrow. The remaining 7, so little by little, we'll start seeing impact. And we are from there moving into the phase 1 of the Siemens project, which is the Presidential Power Initiative. Phase 1 is the bigger one that will touch about 25 power substations, about 14,000 kilometers of transmission lines, and about 10,000 distribution transformers, as well as injection substations in distribution, and over 20,000 kilometers of distribution lines. If all these are done, there will be impact on the sector. But the impact will not come overnight. We are looking at between 18 and 24 months, and this thing will happen. So I think those are what we can talk about for now.
Thank you, Minister, so that we can ask questions.
To conclude, the tariff review will also stop the insolvency of power operators. If it's not done, the GenCos will remain, they will not produce again. The transmission company will be granted. And number two is infrastructure improvement. And gradually, almost everybody will get to band A within the next 3 years. But there is incentive to invest in infrastructure like the discos now and the franchises. Thank you very much. So,
thank you, Minister. Before the rest of...
I also want to know how the ministry verified that the discos actually distributed those meters, or did you do the distribution? That's question number one. Then also, secondly, I want to go to the World Bank loan for meters. It was brought to the attention of the Senate that the loan was to be given to us, but in return, the meters would be imported. And we object to that, and I'm trying to find out if that situation has changed and the meters are now being locally produced. Then thirdly, I would like to know how much the discos have invested in the discos since they were acquired, because there's been talk of asset stripping, so it would depend on how much the discos have they been at just the point, the way they were when they were acquired. Was an investment made, minimal, a lot? That would be something I would like to know. Then you're talking
touching the masses. Most of their responsibilities in the act, they are not doing them. Even ordinary transformer. The people are buying the transformers. They will even collect the money to even come and collect the transformers. And they take the money. The only thing you need to be liquid is the meter. Nobody is owing the DSTV now. Nobody is owing MTN. Nobody, because it's prepaid meter. If you don't have your card, you will not get electricity. So this one owing you will not come if you have the meters. I think they should be more interested in that. And when they were bidding for this thing, they told Nigerians that they have the money, that they have the resources. They have not done anything. They have gone to the bank to borrow money. We are not seeing any meter. People are still paying for the one that they are buying. Nobody is getting meter free in Nigeria. They still pay for them. When you pay today, the next 5 months, you will not get anything. So I think we need to face this course. Let them go internal and spend money on where the money will come to the people instead of suffocating the masses. You have to look at the time. You have to carry a bit for Nigeria to get out of this fuel subsidy before we add that of electricity. Whatever you can do to postpone it a bit will be to the advantage of Nigeria. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Whenever there's rain, end of story. No light for 2 days. I personally give them a bike to trace all the faults. Just what's going on. Mr. Minister, do a spot assessment in those areas. Not data. Sit by yourself and be able to compare. You know what's happening in the middle? Very well. Exactly. I can make a phone call to a friend or one of our friends. He will tell us straight away. No, they don't have it. They don't have it. You are trying your best, but the agents are not helping us. That's number one. Then the issue of this code telling us, okay, we have, from the superior performance bond or feeders, it's 0. This code, please. It's not here. Yeah, it's there. Can you look at the page? Summary performance of bond in feeders. You make it, BDC, Kaduna. You quoted different hours of average performance, which is not the true reflection. It seems the discos and the NEC are collaborating together to make it look good for Nigerians. That is the simple truth about it. And of course, it's on the table of the minister. We accuse minister all the time. You are here, you give us this analysis, but it's not correct. It's not correct. I know of IPDC very well. She knows about that very well. It's not correct. Yes, it's not. It's not correct. So I know the day for me.
He has AEDC, which is Abuja, 95%. BEDC, which is Benin, 83%. EEDC, which is Enugu, 70%.
And Amadi on AIT, I followed him all the time. Please consult him. Please consult him. It's very key. You are like mind. That's my view. And we represent Nigerians. And at the end of the day, myself and you, if we're not careful, we'll be stoned at home. Because they thought we are making so much money. Big Ike cannot sustain. We don't want it. As a Nigerian, we don't want it. Not now. As my colleague has said, it's not going to be possible. Wealth is there. Now, it's coming in. Government should look outside the box and see how we could, manage this crisis now. So for you as a minister, it's a challenge. Please, that's what we're asking for. And Nigerians, we have Nigerians, they are watching us now, and they know who are for them, who are not for them. And I have a good name to protect as well. So it's very key to us. Thank you so much.
The argument shouldn't be there at all, because they take money in advance, like MTN and NITA. So liquidity should not be their problem. It should not be advanced in an argument. But what I would rather is, you can laugh, but I'm telling you, this is very serious. You devalue the currency, you increase the cost of petrol. Now you are scrambling around trying to give palliative. What palliative are you going to give us now if you push through this tariff? It's the same thing. We are the same people. We are the same people, but you are still pushing us. Just to look, your solution is handing this electricity sector to Siemens. Beg them to take over. They have the capacity to do it. Beg them to take over. All the people you are trying to bring in, they are Nigerians like us. They don't have the capacity. They will still come back to you through the back door to look for another fund, one fund to one another, from central bank or other institutions. Why are they are not credible. They are not credit worthy. That's why the money deposited banks are not giving them loan. But now you are trying to transfer that to us, customers. Minister, you are not going to be minister forever. You will become like us, maybe in the next 4 years. And you are going to face this problem. I'm just telling you. No, you are not like me now. You are privileged. No, you are privileged. You are in the executive sector of the government. So, but I'm still telling you, Minister, those policies are not working. You have to go back to the drawing board.
Yes.
Rethink about them. Come back with a better solution is beg these companies, beg Siemens or ABB to take over this. They have the resources to run this thing, operate and hand over to you. But for now, it is not working. It's not working. Because, look, I was in Nigeria when UPE was introduced. And the basis of it, at the end of it, is that Nigeria should embark on industrialization to absorb excess products of universities and polytechnics. Now, we established paper mills, we established NNPC, we established paper companies, we established sugar companies. All those are now steel companies. All those are now sold. All those jobs are gone. And now, the remaining industries in existence, with this policy, some 50% of them will go under. And you are creating more unemployment in the country. This is a reality. This is a reality because our products are no longer competitive. Our competitors from abroad will bring in and sell. Nigerian jobs will be lost. We will create jobs abroad. So my position still is think over. It's not too late. There's nothing wrong if something is not working, you change. But for now, you are only forcing us to pay for inefficiencies of the discourse and what have you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Well, I'm talking in my capacity as a former governor, immediate governor. There were no consultations. These were issues that were always crying. We said issues about power, you must do enough consultation. Consultation is necessary when you are doing especially things like this that affect the public. When, as immediate Minister for Labor, before we went into subsidy, we did wider consultation. And out of that consultation came out with palliatives. Today, yes, people will complain, but it's not about the fact that there were no identified palliatives. It's only that people are saying, yes, we have not taken all the palliatives. Now, with the electricity, and when we were doing that discussion, part of it was people were crying. People were saying, let us not finish this one, and tariff will not come. I remember very well that, yes, when I'm talking like this, I'm saying, if there are blames, I accept. Because I was DG campaign, I'm part of this government. But then consultation is very necessary. People talk about the application. Even me, I got confused at one time. I was telling him, in the last 24 hours, there was no light in my house. I put my generator for 12 or 13 or 18 hours. Then I reduce. If they are saying they are distributing, please do some investigation and find out whether it is true. What is in paper is different from what they are applying. I said that because many of us sitting on this high table, if we give you the correct thing, you will find them wanting. Because we are using generators. And when they say 3 or 4 times increase, and then the light is not there. The light is not there. Because I was wondering, my children will come and tell me, I said, Daddy, why don't you remove the meter? Let's go back to pre-meter. Because what we were paying during pre-meter was quite cheaper. But today with a meter, and we're having this kind of system, I think we should also do some kind of investigation about what they are telling us, there. So if we have not done some palliatives, everybody will know that if there are tariffs around this time, it is like bringing another, I don't want to say putting it on fire, but I'm saying that yes, like I told you the other day in your office, I said it would be wrong doing the same thing every time and expecting a different result. We must be thinking out of the box. If there were no preparation for palliatives, I think that's what the public are asking. If the manufacturing industry are even crying out, they are talking about big industries. In our concept, we are also encouraging the informal sector. People who want to do small investment. The younger ones that we want to give them loans, go and start investing. But many of them are now running out. They say even if they take money from the banks and they go and do small investment, power will swallow that investment. So it will not encourage them. So if consultation was not part of it, let us put it. It's not too late to constitute and still go on part of consultation in achieving what we are going to do. And if there were no provisions for palliative, I wonder how you can introduce this tariff and still say there is no provision for palliative. Let us walk out again out of the box and see whatever will be our palliative while thinking of improving and looking for government to put in. Because one day I told you that many of these things that are happening is because in the past there were no consequences for such actions. Somebody takes 22 or 50 something billion and he says he cannot appear before the Senate. to tell us what he did. And the man, I'm sure he's a Nigerian. Even if he's a Nigerian, he's registered in Nigeria. They can go after his company. What is EFCC doing? Is it only for politicians? Is it only for individuals? Of course, yes, these are things that will help the public. Yes. What is AMCON doing? What is AMCON doing? So let us start exhibiting. This is the time that Nigerians, we need to carry them along as we are moving, because the hardship is everywhere. It's not only the lower man, the bigger one. You see senators crying. Governors are also crying. Former governors are crying. I'm sure the president will know what to say his own, but I know. So these are some of the things that we want to add in that. I think that is little things that I want to add. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.